Hi, in today's video I'm going to show you how to sew Wally Wombat. Now Wally Wombat first appeared over on Clover's blog, and Clover are great sponsors of Sew Softie. Now, Wally is a zenki. A zenki is a unique way of sewing softie that I designed, and what makes zenkis so unique? Well, they're made out of two pieces of felt. Firstly is just the back and the front. The second thing is the arms and the legs and the ears are part of either the back or the front piece of felt, which means there's nothing to insert, no pinning, no nothing. It's all there. And the third thing is all zenkis have a running stitch just around the torso. So if you're a parent or a teacher and you're looking to sew with your kids and you're looking for something simple, fun and doable, the zenkis are your answer. And if you'd like to find more zenkis, you can have a look at my book, The Zenki Ways, which shows you all sorts of different ways, creative ways to sew all different sorts of softies. Now, let's get on with it and show you how to sew Wally. So let me show you first what you're going to need to make Wally, and then we'll go through the step-by-steps. So first of all, you need your two pieces of felt. I've got the back piece of felt, and here's the front piece of felt. If you're looking for the template, there'll be a link in the comments to the template. And of course, you're going to need make two little eyes. If you're looking to find out how I made these circles so perfect, I have a YouTube video on how to make perfect circles, and then you'll need to cut out a nose. So that's all your felt. You'll need to have a needle. I like using chenille needles. You'll also need some thread. I've got a thick embroidery thread, which I'm going to use to make his mouth and the little French knots, and this little thread here to sew around his body. Also, I like using these pins, which you'll need to pin the two pieces of Wally's body together. If you don't want to use pins, you can use sewing clips, which work really well also. You're going to need some stuffing, because Wally's a softie, and I like to give Wally a little bit of weight so he can sit nicely. So I'm using this weighting material. I use rice, but some people don't like using rice, so you can use sand or fish gravel or whatever you have. And to make putting the rice in your softie easier, I've got this funnel, which makes putting the rice in a little less messier, and I think that's it. That's all the materials you're going to use to make Wally. Now let's see how we sew him together. So the first thing I'm going to do is glue on Wally's nose. I've just got this very thick white glue here, which works well. You can try a glue stick. Always test your felt to see that the glue actually works on your felt. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to do a French knot in each of his eyes. So I've got my embroidery thread here, and I've actually tied a little knot in the embroidery thread. You want to come up more or less in the middle of the eye. Okay, and to do a French knot, you're just going to twirl the embroidery thread once over the needle. If you've got a thinner thread, you can do it twice, and you're going to just put your needle next to, or more or less next to, the hole that you came up in. Give the thread a little bit of a tug. And now you're going to pull the thread to the back and give it a nice little tug. And there you can see his first eye, first pupil. If you want, you can sort of shift it over, pull it a little bit tighter. Now you're just going to do the same. You're just going to come up, hold the little eye, going to come up with your needle in the middle of the eye. Okay, you're going to do the same. You're going to just twirl the thread once around your needle, you're going back in the hole or very, very close to the hole. Pull your thread tight. Take your needle to the back and tug it, and you can just sort of push the pupil more or less into the middle if you want. Now we're going to make his little mouth, and I'm going to use 3 stitches to do his mouth. So the first one, I'm just going to go a little bit under his nose and go up, up to the middle of his nose. Now I'm going to do his little mouth, so I'm just going to work it. I want it about there, come up, go back to the middle stitch here. Now I want to put the other stitch more or less in the same sort of angle, so I just can work out with my needle, draw a line. I want it about there. So I'm going to go into that little spot there and go back to the middle. Okay, and there you can see Wally. Now to end the thread, I'm just going to turn it over, and I'm going to push my needle through any of these back stitches underneath the stitch, and you're going to get this little loop here. So put your needle through the loop and pull. If you're not quite sure if that's tight enough, do exactly the same thing again. Put the needle under one of those threads and then put your needle through the loop, pull, snip, and now Wally's ready for the next part of his softie making. Okay, so here's Wally. If you'd like a tutorial to see exactly how you make those French knots again, I've got one on my YouTube channel. If you don't want to do the French knot and the stitches, that's perfectly fine. You can use wiggly eyes, or you can just glue the eyes into place and draw a little mouth. Okay, now we're ready to begin sewing Wally. So I've got the back of Wally, and I'm going to carefully put the front of Wally on top of him. Now I'm going to use pins to pin the 2 layers of Wally together, 2 pieces of felt. You can use sewing clips if you prefer, and when you're sewing with kids, just make sure that the pin has gone through the 2 layers of felt. Okay, I've got my threaded needle. This is the chenille needle. I'm using just ordinary sewing cotton, and today I'm going to show you how I've got it doubled over so that the needle doesn't pull off the thread. And today I'm going to show you how to sew Wally without actually tying a knot in your thread. So let's begin. So what you need to do is place the needle between the 2 layers of felt. It's just a nice way of hiding the tail, and I'm going to pull my thread. And because there's no knot, you're going to have to get the kids to make sure the kids leave this tail. You can tuck the tail under like that. Now to anchor your stitch, because you don't have a knot, you're going to do a back stitch. You're going to go backwards and forwards, and you're going to come up in more or less the same place that your thread went into your sewing. And I've just pulled my thread out, so I'm just going to do that again. So you're going to go between the 2 layers of felt, leave your tail. There's a nice long tail. You can tuck it in if you like that. Now, I'm going to hold it. I'm going to go backwards and forwards till you have the little back stitch to anchor it, and you're going to do that exactly same stitch again. You're going to go backwards, and this time you're just going to take your needle a little bit forward so you can begin your running stitch. And if you give it a tug, you'll see your thread isn't going to come out. So that's one way of sewing without getting your kids or students to sew a knot. Now you're just going to do a running stitch all the way around Wally. So all the way around until you get to the top over here, because now then that's where you're going to fill Wally with his waiting material and some stuffing. Okay, now when your thread starts to get a little bit short, you're going to get the kids to end their thread, and they're going to do that exactly like how they began. Now you want to do slightly bigger little gap here. To end the thread, you're going to get your kids to do a back stitch and go forward and do another stitch on top of that. That makes sure that your thread doesn't come out. And to get rid of the thread, you can just take it between the two layers of felt and snip it. And now I'm just going to re-thread my needle. If you're looking for different ways of threading the needle, I've also got a YouTube tutorial which shows you different ways of threading the needle. I'm just getting a little bit of the end, and I'm just going to get my two ends of the thread together. I'll leave a tail again. So I'm going to go in between the two layers. I'm going to leave a tail so there's no knot there. You can tuck it in if you want, or cut it out at the end, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do like back stitch. And I'm going to do another stitch on top of that. And then we're going to go forwards, and we're ready to start our sewing running stitch again. Okay, and now we're ready to give Wally his rice waiting material and his stuffing. So you're going to take the two pins out, and now Wally's ready to be stuffed. Okay, so now we're ready. Okay, I've got my funnel, and hope you can see this. I've got my rice or whatever waiting material. This can be quite messy, but kids love it. Okay, I'm just going to put that filler. Yeah, it's pretty. I'm just going to give him a little bit more rice. So that's about the sort of, about half of Wally. Now I've got my stuffing. Now you just want small pieces of stuffing. Make sure that the needle is left out and doesn't get caught in. And when you take the stuffing, you want to actually push it right down so Wally's nicely stuffed. Down to the little side bits. Okay, let's have a look. I'm just going to turn him around. I think he can do with a little bit more stuffing. Careful though with the stuffing. Kids love stuffing their softies, or I can actually say overstuffing their softies. Okay, that looks great. Now I've got to close this little stuffing gap. So to make it easy to sew, I'm going to put a little pin here. Carefully put a pin here to hold the stuffing back to make it easier to sew. So now I've just got to close the gap. So I've got my needle. I'm just going to keep on sewing with my running stitch. Sometimes you need to give the thread a little bit of a pull. Okay, now I'm going to do my last stitch. Remember, I've got to end with a double stitch. So I'm going backwards and forwards. And I'm going to do a stitch right on top of that again. It's my double back stitch. And to get rid of the thread, I'm just going to go through the 2 layers of felt. Snip the thread, take the pin out, give Wally a bit of a shake and a squish, and as you can see, Wally's got one more thing. He needs his little pink side of his ears put on. And now we just need to glue Wally's inside of ears into place. I've just got my thick sticky glue. Don't forget the link to the template is in the comments below. Oops, a daisy. Oops, sticking to me a little bit. All done. And now you have your own Wally Wombat Zenki. I hope you and your kids have lots of fun sewing and playing with Wally, because I know he's going to have lots of fun being at your place. But one warning, wombats love digging holes. So if you've got a big backyard or any size backyard, watch out for those holes. And if you'd like to know more about Zenkis or the Zenki way of sewing, take a look at my book, The Zenki Way. But of course, I've also got lots of free tutorials on my blog, sewasoftie.com. Bye.